Boys and girls, Alex here again. Seeing as how Hollywood has slowed down on their movie production, I thought I'd make a couple of extra videos myself. Recently at Lumberjocks, where most of these videos are really destined to help some of the articles I write, but there was a discussion about ZCIs. Now, this is a ZCI, basically stands for Zero Clearance Insert. The whole idea is when the blade spins around, it stops the tear out on your timber on the downward stroke, or at least minimises. Somebody mentioned an interesting thing about inserts into your ZCI. Now, I normally use, when I say an insert, basically what they're saying is to put in an insert to cover different kerf changes in different kerf sizes when you change saw blades. I have a swag of zero clearance fences for all different sizes that I make, churn out by, well, not the hundreds, but heaps, blanks everywhere so I can make new ones. I usually mark on it what they're destined for, and I can then swap them over and stuff like that. However, this business of an insert struck me as quite interesting. So naturally I got onto SketchUp and designed something. Let's get rid of this old one, lower the blade, oops, try lowering it so we can do it. And this is what I initially came up with. Where is it? Here we go. No. Here we are. This little unit here, as you can see, very similar to my other one. The main difference is there's this insert in there that you can hopefully just swap out and put another one in, and as you raise your blade it cuts a kerf in it like it does there, but rather than replacing the entire insert, you just pull it out, put that in. Now for me it's not a big deal, only because as I said, I can whip one of these up quite quickly. However, I still have the overhead. I use fender washers at the back to secure it to the tabletop, and at the front there's a screw that you screw down, and for all it's worth I have this little mushroom thing in there that I put over the hole because I have lost so many screws down that hole. You wouldn't believe it. Anyway, that's beside the point, that's a bit of digression. But what I'd have to do is pull it out. Now one of the things I had to do, I couldn't get, normally when I put in a new ZCI, there we go, a new one, I can put it in, raise the blade and no problem. However, because of this sliding feature, normally this is made out of one layer of 6mm MDF, but because of this sliding features, to be able to provide that sliding function, it's made up of 3 layers of 3mm MDF, which makes it 9, and the whole tabletop is not designed to accept 9mm hardware. In fact, there's less than 9mm clearance between the top and the blade, which you'll never see. It's about a bit over 6. So what I've actually done is I've cut out this groove in the bottom layer, so I can then, when I place that on there, it just lets the blade come on, so when I lock this down I can then raise this thing. However, I got a bit overzealous. I had no intention of making a video, as always. I got a bit overzealous, and because this is actually about 5.6 the lip is 5.6 mil, so I normally have to take off about 0.4 of a mil on the drum sander out of this. Well, I got a bit carried away and I took off a little bit more, and this is now about 0.5, or hell, if you actually look at it, it's probably more closer to about a mil if I push it down. The problem is when I measured it, I wasn't pushing it down and I just got carried away, and this is about a half a mil to a mil lower than the tabletop. Now the problem is, it's not so bad if the back is a little bit higher, but then the front has to be low, otherwise when you're feeding wood through, you'll catch it there or you'll catch it on the outfeed. So at least the front has to be lower and the top level or higher. They both should be level, but the top level or higher, front level or lower. Anyway, it didn't work, so what I had to do is go back and cut out a new one to do it again. And I thought, well, seeing as how I've cut it out, I might just show you the dynamics of the individual pieces. This is what I finish up with. Oops. Cutting that out. So, here we go. That gives me part of the slider. Out of the other bit, that gives me another part. And naturally the backing bit with that little bit out. So what you finish up doing is through dowels, you can see in there, you slap that one down, this one goes on top, that goes on top and gets glued together, and there you have the insert, hopefully to slap on. I've still got to put the fender washer on, and we'll worry about that at a later point. In fact, we'll see what happens. Also, while I'm at it, I also run off a couple of sets of these inserts. So once you glue them together in like, good God, I am just so bloody organised, it's uncanny. Yeah, glue them together like that. You probably have about 3 or 4 of these, or whatever many you might need aside to, and this is what changes. Then I realised, stupid me, I had to, I didn't allow for dado stacks. Now I don't know whether normally I don't use a ZCI for a dado, because I often use a dado, because it's usually with the dado you tend to go across the width, and I tend to use a sled, and the sled has the ZCI. And not only that, well, I'm waffling on again, not knowing what the hell I'm talking about, but what I have done is I have drawn up another one with a much wider insert. It's about, well, that top piece has to be greater than 3/4, because that's usually the average size of a dado. So I think I made it about 25 mil, which makes the bottom bit needing to be 35. The only problem I find with that is with 35, that now becomes, you get little meat in that, so that might become pliable. However, the bottom piece will reinforce it, and if I need to, I can put on another bottom piece, or I could maybe even turn this into a, no I can't, I was going to say I could turn it into a 6 mil, but I've got little doovies that dangle up and down, which means I can't, either I cut this off or I can put in reinforcement somehow. But anyway, that's the whole intention of it. So once I assemble this, glue it up, I'll come back and keep boring you to tears. Okay, I'm back. Glued it together. You might notice, oh, well, my dowels are still sticking out. I made actually up a couple of extra inserts, and I say a couple of extra, there's one being glued up. As you can see, slides in. Once you cut the kerf on it, kerf in it, the next one slides in. I don't know how they're going to perform yet. What I have done, I've attached a fender washer, my normal backing thing, because this is 6mm. I had a 6mm there. Well, because of that extra backing plate, I've could only put in a 3mm. It's, when I put it in, it fits like a glove, well, sort of, but it's about, well, I don't know, it's a bit higher. So what I've got to do to tidy it up, I'll first of all I'll flush cut these, sand the back. I've got to remove that, that's why I haven't glued that piece on, so I can then put it through the drum sander. And countersink these holes, and this time I'll screw it down to the table so that I can make sure that it's not sort of like sitting up too high, and therefore I'm going to take too much off the top of it. And hopefully when I come back we'll at least have something that fits, and as I say, you know, it's oh yeah, and hopefully, I haven't even tried it, this MJ splitter, there you are, goes in there. Now, being the first time, I probably need a screwdriver to pull it out. Hang on, just to prove that I'm not lying. And come on. And that washer seems to be holding quite well. So yeah, and I'll just make sure I put that in here so I don't lose it. Enough cut MDF there to make two more. However, I can't see myself making too many because I'd like one for 1.7, one for the 2.3 or whatever thin kerf, and one for the 1.8. However, maybe a quarter might do, but I'm just a bit dubious that if I cut a quarter out of, well, I have got a 1/4 inch blade which is for my box joint, or from the box joint set. Well, actually I've even got a 3/8. That might even work. However, having said that, I have designed a dado, or a much wider insert, and that can also be used. Well, look, at the end of the day, if I adopt this principle, what it is going to save me doing is mounting this packer. Hang on, now screw it down a bit. Mount the packer, saves having to round that over. I mean, big deal, duh. And I only have to polish it once. The only thing I have to do is make sure I keep this, because naturally if I make a new insert and I sand this flush with the table, come on baby, why aren't you going in there? There you are. Flush with the table, any new insert that I make will naturally be thinner that way than as is, because I think, if I remember correctly, by the time I dressed this down, hang on, let's have a quick look. Oh, I love that little, you've seen some of my other videos, that little calipers tray that I made. Oh, I love it. Anyway, we're looking at about 5.485 thickness, so I've taken about 0.5 off it, which means that they'll all have to be trimmed down by about 0.5. Look, at the moment we're still in the prototype stage. I haven't really done anything further. You know, I like to record as I do. Unfortunately, I'm not organised enough to make one, test it, see if it works, and then make one and show it to you how I make it. You know, it's basically all it is. The only reason why I don't show how I make it is because especially this one, it's laser cut. Now, again, even if there are people, and there's going to be people out there with access to lasers. Look, you don't have to own one. You can always design it and outsource the cutting of it. And honestly, you would be surprised if you did the design and just sent the file to the laser people. You would be actually surprised, or pleasantly surprised, how little it might cost you to do it, because a lot of the design, a lot of the costs are in designing and of course setup. Now, admittedly, with say things like CNC and all that, you've got to set it up a special way. With this laser, and the way I do it, the way I laminate things, there's really no setup for any outsourcing, because you cut the piece, and then you glue it together using these dowel alignment holes. So, you know, while I crap on that, you know, I've got a laser and you haven't, it can be done. Also, the concept is quite doable. You can make this plate using your original plate as a template, and then once you make a template, bloody well put it away. Don't use that, keep it for making others, because it's better to use a template than this as the template. And there you have it. You know, you can do it. You know, it's not like, well, you know, and yeah, that's it. Right, I'm going to now quit rambling. And I'll come back. While I've got your undivided attention, I might as well draw attention to a previous project I did, which was making this little scabbard for my Jap flush cut saw. And just to prove that, hey, I do use things I make. It's a great, I probably didn't show you this thing in use, and I might as well. It's a little beauty. You can see how well it flexes, and just one or two, hang on. I've got to watch it because it's so bloody sharp, and it's such a delicate blade that you find it, and believe me, this is actually quite old. There you go. One stroke and done. And back to its little scabbard. Well, come on, get in there, you monk. Oh, you idiot. Put it in the right way. Jesus Christ, and I haven't even had a drink. Okay, off. Whoop-de-doo, I'm back. Okay, I've done all the basic necessities. I put the fender washer on, polished up the side. buffed it on my build buffer. If you haven't seen or you want to know how it's done, you have to look at some of the other videos where I do it. It's no use wasting time here. Countersunk the holes. As you can see, this has been polished. So it's just a case of, oh yeah, I found out why I buggered up the other one. It turned out that this rim around there is not perfectly flush. That's why you often have all these adjustment screws in your throat plate. Not having one, and what I did was I kept testing it down the back and sorry, wherever it was, and it turned out that that is deeper than the front. I finished up packing it with a bit of this double-sided tape. No idea how long it'll last, but at least I can easily replace it. And here we go. That slips in there. Everything, oops, let's try properly. That goes in there, slips down. Put my little plug in there just to make sure I don't lose this bloody thing. And screw the plate down. Okay, so far so good. The next thing I'm going to do is, yep, that seems okay. There's, oh look, there's a slight difference here, but that's lower than the plate, so that won't dig in. Hopefully that's not going to cause any problems there, as in, where is it? Something like this sticking in. No, it'll go over it. That's cool. Now what I'll do is I'll clamp this plate. No, geez, I don't have to, because that's down. So look, bugger it, let's give it a try and see what damage we can do. Let's make sure everything's in the viewfinder. Turn the saw on. And let's split. Okay, as you can see, that's all the way up. Let's drag it down. And see what damage we've done. Now I've cut through the dowel there, which in all honesty I expected, because that oh, I might have done something screwy. I don't know whether I've gone all the way through. There you have it. I've buggered that up. I should have, damn it. How cruddy can you get? That topped out there. I'll have to basically bring this back to here. But the crazy part is, with all these what's the word for it, laminations I can't sort of just modify that by putting, well, maybe I could probably chisel that out. Look, I might just do that and see what happens. Yeah, I'll get back to you. Okay, just a quick recap. Because of that blowout at the back there before, even if there was just a little bit there, it wouldn't have mattered because it had stopped this from closing. As you can see, that closes, and blade hits it, it's just going to split it. So, anyway, for the next phase, here's all the raw bits of MDF that I've cut. This includes 2, hopefully, plates and sanding jigs. You'll see what it is after I assembled it. Oh, look, I'm not going to go to the hassle of, again, showing you how I assemble it, other than the fact that through these dowel holes there, I'll be putting in dowel holes. I'll be putting in dowels to align the items. As you can see, if I didn't have those, if I just tried to glue that, they could flex and move. With the holes, they'll align properly and I'll get a proper edge. So I will come back when all that is done. I'll probably even take it, before I go any further, take it to the stage of this last one, whereby I'll have it all done and dusted. Oops, that's not the one, that's the other thin one, but where it's been rounded over and done, and I'll have it ready for the first cut. Okay.